Hi, my name is Timo Vinke and welcome to this video about taking control over your time. So over the years, even when I started out as an employee, I was always obsessed about using my time as effectively as possible. So when I started out as an employee and later when I became a manager of a multi-million branch office, I always wanted to limit my working time to maximum 40 hours a week. So that meant that when I started getting more responsibility and more things to do, I needed to start working more effectively and I needed to spend my time more wisely. So over the years I spent quite a lot of time actually researching and reading about strategies and ways that I can do that. How can I use my time as effectively as possible? But first, what does it mean using your time effectively? It means that the time that you spend has the biggest impact towards the goal that you want to achieve. So it depends on each person what is using your time effectively. Now, one of the strategies I came across was from Covey, and I read it in his book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he called it the time management matrix. So I wanted to share that with you because that matrix really helped me to frame my thinking about how I was spending my time and on which activities I was spending my time. So I have the matrix here behind me on the flipboard. So let's go through it and I'll explain you. So we have two scales. The first is importance. So we have low important activities and high important, very important activities. And the second scale is urgency. So we have activities that are very urgent and we have activities that are not that urgent. So those are the two scales, and then within the matrix, Covey defines 4 types of activities, type 1, 2, 4. So what are those? Type 1 activities are the crisis situations or any activities with a hard deadline. So they are urgent and they're also important. For example, a medical emergency, that's very clearly an emergency that is both very important because it could be life or death, and it is very urgent, right? So that's like an extreme case that would be all the way here in the top, right? Very high importance, very high urgency. Now, other activities could be meetings that you have, meetings with clients. So they are not necessarily urgent in the sense that they are happening now, but there is still a deadline and you still, when the time approaches for the meeting, automatically it becomes urgent because in the end the meeting will be happening right now, right? So those are important and they are urgent. So, and it can be projects that have a hard deadline, proposals you need to make. A lot of some emails that are there, some phone calls. So important phone calls, important emails, they go in that type of activity as well. Type 2 activities are activities that are very important, and I would argue maybe even more important than type 1 activities in most cases. However, they are not very urgent, and as a result, as we will see later on, we don't spend as much time as we would like there. These are activities like caring for your own health, both physically and mentally, building a relationship with your clients, with your suppliers, with your family. Other type 2 activities are projects that would really help your business, developing a new product, right? So those are all kind of projects that don't have a hard deadline, and as a result often we tend to spend less time of them and basically move the projects back and back. Type 3 activities are activities that are very urgent but they are not important. A lot of emails go in here, a lot of phone calls go in there. Do you really need to, if you don't answer that email, is this really going to hurt you or your business? If the answer is no, then actually it's not important. But it feels urgent because the phone is ringing, or you hear the ding 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 of the emails that are coming in, right? So those are the type 3 activities, not important stuff, but they feel urgent. And then we have the type 4 activities, and those are low important activities that also are not urgent. So for example, binge watching Netflix for a whole day is a typical type 4 activity. Basically it's the escapism type of activity where you want to escape your current life and you want to basically block off and spend a lot of time. Well, you don't want to spend a lot of time, but you feel that you need to on these activities that don't bring any real value, right? So where are most of the people? And I would argue that most business owners are in this situation. So that's on the next slide. A lot of people, working people, business people, they are in this situation where they spend the majority of time in type 1 activities. They go from crisis to crisis, they're running from meeting to meeting. It can even be meetings with clients, because those are important and they are urgent. However, if you go running from meeting to meeting to meeting, it feels that you have no control of your time, which in fact you don't, because you're living by your agenda. So those people are completely focused on type 1 activities. As a result, they feel stress and they don't feel comfortable. So again, they escape to type 4 activities. They feel that they need to spend the whole day binge watching Netflix because they need to relax, right? So they spend quite a deal of time in type 4 activities, which are both non-important and not urgent. And because they spend so much time there, actually what they do is they increase this area as well, because there are more crises developing that they're not attending to. Another thing they spend quite a deal of time is type 3 activities, which are the non-important urgent matters. Because if you're constantly solving crises and reacting to emails and reacting to phone calls, then automatically you also start reacting to the non-important emails and phone calls, because it's becoming harder and harder to distinguish between what is important and what is not important, right? Now, as a result of spending all the time in these activities, there is hardly any time spent in the type 2 activities, right? So there is hardly any time spent on building relationships with people, working on projects and all that stuff, right? So this is really important, because in the end these type of activities are going to prevent the crisis from developing. So what would be the ideal situation where you want to end up? That's this one, where you spend almost all of your time on type 2 activities. So all of your time is going towards long-term development projects that bring big results, building relationship with people again, implementing automation systems that sell products for you if you make it more specific for your business, developing an online course so that you can sell automatically. Those are all type 2 activities, but you can keep putting them off, but we all know that if we actually do them, they will have a big result on our business and on our lives. And as a result, the quadrant 1 activities become less and less, and that type of activities becomes smaller and smaller, right? You can never completely eliminate all the type 1 activities. There will always be crises arriving. You always need to solve something, you always need to react to some things. But you can work to prevent as much as possible. I remember from my career, I've had colleagues that they were proud of being firefighters, that they loved solving crises. However, so they were completely focused on type 1 activities. But what they forgot is to take the next step, which is making sure and preventing that same crisis from happening again in the future. So as a result, preventing crisis, that's a type 2 activity. And as a result, guess what? The same crisis happened again a few months later, or even a few weeks later, right? So they didn't solve the problem that was causing the crisis, they only solved the crisis itself. That's the difference between type 1 and type 2 activities. So how do you move from the previous slide, where we spent most of the time on type 1 activities, and how do you move towards this ideal scenario? Well, you need to start taking away the time from type 3 and type 4 activities, because those are the non-important stuff. And when you take this time away from those activities and you dedicate it all to type 2 activities, then you can start working on preventing crisis and basically making this quadrant smaller and smaller, right? So how do you take away time from type 3 and type 4 activities? That's basically by learning to say no. Saying no to those activities that are not important to you, or not important to you, the goals that you want to achieve. And it can be difficult, because people will be disappointed, because you used to say yes all the time, right? But it is important that you realize what is your goals. Now remember, this is not only about your business. So again, taking away time here, if you're not feeling healthy, then maybe the very best thing you can do once you start taking away time here is spending time on increasing your health, both physically and mentally, right? Because that will give you so much more strength and so much more power to keep going and actually keep solving the crisis over here, right? So it does not mean that you start spending all your time on your business. Far from it. You need to start thinking about your whole life, where your business is part of your life. And you need to start thinking about what are the activities I want to spend time in my life, and part of that is a business, yes. So you could start spending time on building business systems, and I highly recommend that if you want to grow your business. However, it can also be that you want to say, I want to dedicate this time spending quality time with my family, so I have a stronger family, I have better relationship with my spouse or with my partner. And when you do that, you feel more relaxed, you feel more powerful. And when you have that, when you have a strong family that is backing you, guess what? You also have much better able to solve the crisis and actually start reducing the number of crises as well, right? So this is how you start moving from this situation to the ideal situation, where almost all of our life is about purposeful long-term projects that keep strengthening and improving our lives and our business. So this is the time management matrix from Stephen Covey, and like I said, this really helped me a lot about training my thinking about where to spend my time and how to go through my life actually. So I really hope it helped you as well. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will read them and I will respond to you. If you have any difficulty with moving towards this ideal scenario, let me know as well, and perhaps I can help you there as well. So thank you very much for watching, and see you around. Bye bye.